Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday, the 15th of November 2021. Halfway through November already, and just a month and a half to go until we get to New Year and bring in 2022. Oh my word, time flies. It's Gary here, and well, I'm fast learning the perils of doing a weekly NARSA or Rangers news show or podcast anyway, and all the things that can happen in a week surrounding our great club. Wow. 3 weeks ago, I happily recorded the podcast Monday evening, as I normally do, with various regular updates. Then Sir Walter passed the very next day, and the following show was, of course, the memorial to him. Last week, I talk about RFC financials and Remembrance Day and look forward to a semi-quiet week because we're not playing any competitive domestic matches. Then Stephen Gerrard decides that his very own coined phrase of "let's go" meant something totally different to him than what it actually meant to us as fans and the club. What an incredible turn of events last week when the rumours started about Villa early in the week, maybe even Monday before I had recorded it. I had shared various opinions on the NARSA WhatsApp group in particular that I would be shocked if he left because the factors just didn't add up for me. Spurs, maybe. Newcastle, perhaps. But Villa just didn't, and actually still doesn't, make any sense to me at all. So that's one part of it. The second part of it is the timing and the way that it was done, and literally the way that he did it. And I honestly feel personally insulted by both of those things, both the club that he's going to and the timing and the way that he did it as well. So I guess that's maybe three things. But, acknowledging the fact that yes, he did put a lot of blood, sweat and tears to getting us where we wanted to be, with a very strong foundational base from which to springboard us into a period of genuine dominance and lots of trophies to show for the dominance. And then he just decided he'd had enough, and that was it. 2 weeks after berating Emma Dodds on, I think she was working for BT Sport that night, for asking about rumours linking him with a move away, and I think at that time it was the Newcastle one, and he said something to her like, "Do I look happy? Do I look settled? Then don't ask me silly questions," and just walked away, all smug like. So for me, there's a way to do things, and he picked completely the wrong path this time. In hindsight, I appreciate he doesn't materially get to choose the timing, as that would be dictated by the interested club and the timing and circumstances of their outgoing manager. But even with that said, Steven Gerrard had a choice to make. As I mentioned on the season recap thus far segment that we did last week, the club are in a very healthy position today. We're top of the league, we're in the League Cup semi-final, within a solid win of qualifying for the last 32 of the Europa League, and it's only mid-November. So in one sense, of course, he's left us in a very good position and has made the job very, very attractive to the incoming manager, whomever that's going to be. But in another sense, it just completely emptied my limited grasp on the fact that there's such a thing as loyalty, honesty, humility and decency in football these days. I truly thought we had someone with absolute Rangers values and blue blood coursing through his veins. He talked so highly of us and made me and others, I'm sure, think this guy just gets it, he's one of us. But alas, he's just another football mercenary who gives a shit only about himself. And what he's gone and done is ripped the guts out of our footballing leadership team for the first team, and at a time when we're on the cusp of some significant games and results for our club, within the current season. Now, I don't want to start this week's pod on a negative, but I am not taking the blame for this one this week, as it was Gerrard himself who caused this. So from a footballing results perspective, yes, he put us back on the map as a club and as a country in terms of the coefficiency gains we've gained with UEFA. He stopped that other mob's 9.75 in a row and got us to our world record 55th championship. He stopped the horrendous rot we had against the team from the East End and not only restored pride in our old firm record, but absolutely swung the pendulum of power very much back to us. He made some very shrewd signings and enhanced the levels of a lot of the players who were already there and continue to be with us. He won one domestic trophy out of 9 available and got us to one final where you'll remember, we were cheated out of at least extra time with the offside goal that was given against us in that particular game. That said, the guy still has so much to learn. He's still a young man and in his infancy in terms of his managerial career and is doing all the right things, but he hasn't worked out, obviously, how to win a knockout competition. He hasn't experienced his best players being sold and wheeling and dealing in the transfer market to backfill the vacated positions. He hasn't won a championship in front of a crowd, and of late, this season in particular, he had a real challenge, it would have appeared to me anyway, in trying to motivate his team to be the best version of themselves. So that then highlights that maybe that spark or flame of excitement that you get with building something momentous gets a little bit dull or even extinguished when you reach the peak or the Holy Grail. And I guess for him, the Holy Grail was 55, and he now has the championship he sorely craved from his playing days. And for that, 100% we'll always be grateful. But for the way that he left us, he should be absolutely ashamed of himself. And I'm more than confident that at some point down the line that he'll look back with regret and admit to himself that he should have handled it better. At Villa, is he going to have thousands of people lining the streets adoring him on his way to the championship winning game? Nope. Not even close. And don't even get me started on the name of Aston Villa. I don't even know what that means, and that's stupid as well. So I think for me, the romance of having a footballing icon at the helm of our club was a tremendous experience. The excitement we all had when he first came in, the candour with which he conducted his press conferences and just basically raised the standards across the whole club. Forever thankful for that and really, really enjoyed that, and we will enjoy that for years to come. And after the substandard managerial pool that we were swimming in before Gerrard arrived, he brought us genuine excitement and pride in our club again, and it also gave me some hope, truly, that our current board actually know what they're doing in terms of manager recruitment, because before Gerrard, their track record was pretty ridiculous. If I could sum up this part, I'd say truly that Steven Gerrard was very good for Rangers, and Rangers were very good for Steven Gerrard. And now we move on and we talk about the future. And I, for one, I'm glad he's gone now, because it's not as if anyone, myself included, was getting a tattoo of him with a Premiership trophy or anything like that, and it isn't actually finished yet or anything ridiculous like that. Thankfully, let's swiftly move on to the future. So at the time of recording, and it's Monday night right now, just before 8 o'clock, 7:56 p.m. as I say this part, we still don't know who our new manager will be. It appears that the overwhelming fans' favourite would be Giovanni van Bronckhorst. He has a tremendous playing career, which is at least on par, if not more successful than Steven Gerrard. And unlike Steven Gerrard, when he first joined us, Giovanni has a track record of success as a manager in terms of winning championships and cups, more importantly. He was also a very popular player with us, of course, and he knows the club, which would be an absolute massive benefit as well. For what it's worth, he would be my first choice. Other names mooted were Frank Lampard and John Terry. Again, both have comparable or better playing careers than Gerrard, and both have more managerial experience than Gerrard had when he joined us as well. Frank Lampard, of course, former Derby and Chelsea manager. John Terry, former Aston Villa assistant manager. So there are others in the mix, likely, and I understand that the club are taking the time to ensure that they get the right man. But the good thing for me is the candidate pool that we're navigating in now is befitting the structure and the stature of our great institution. We won't be picking up an unknown and taking any unnecessary risks or any inappropriate candidates on board, or at least I would hope not. So we'll see what shakes out and hopefully we have someone in place by the semi-final this coming weekend. The club did tweet out today that David McCallum, Brian Gilmore, Jermaine Defoe and Colin Stewart will lead our men's first team while the recruitment process for a new manager continues. That gives us a wee bit of confidence that the day-to-day is going to be ticking along. But what I kind of hope it doesn't mean is that we're not expecting an imminent appointment, as in, a new manager will not be in place by Sunday's game. I really, truly hope that's not the case, because in this day and age, taking weeks to appoint a new manager seems like an eternity and just doesn't seem to be how things are done. Gerrard says he only knew of the interest from Aston Villa on Wednesday of last week. Bullshit. And was gone on Thursday, 24 hours later. Maybe that's true, maybe that's not, doubt it. Rangers have an excellent sporting director in Ross Wilson, who is doing a great job in building a sustainable club on the sporting side. And a crucial part of his job is succession planning on both the playing and coaching and managerial side. I'd have thought, as such, he'd already have a finger, on the pulse in terms of what that looks like, and he'd already be very regularly, looking at movement in the market that we would, as a club, navigate in terms of manager, and seeing the moves and shakes that are going on and adjusting his preferred, which I would imagine would be the club's preferred, shortlist as the movements in the market manifest themselves. That would be the logical thing to do for me, and I'm sure that he does a version of that. Now, I get he likely would have been just as surprised as we were with Gerrard's hasty exit, but after the initial shock, I would have assumed that he would go right to work and contact the candidates or the candidates' representatives and put the succession plans into action. So at the time of recording, he's had 5 or 6 days to get this going, and I still do trust that he's doing the right thing and doing his absolute due diligence. And if the press is to be believed, interviews were being conducted on the weekend there, and it's just one of those things that we have to live with our new club leadership, in that the communications are just so watertight now that we just don't get any sense of anything going on until something is firmly over the line. So as a professional person, I completely understand that and see the benefits of it, not getting things into a frenzy or potentially putting potential candidates off by the press going a little bit bonkers on that. But as a fan, I don't mind admitting that it annoys me, because I just want to know. I want to know whose safe hands that we're going to be in as we move forward. So we'll see how the week shakes out, but hopefully not before too long we'll have forgotten about Steven Gerrard and we'll continue to build our new future with someone who actually wants to be the Rangers manager. And all that said, I'm actually pretty excited about our future. I got over the initial negativity of that just towards the beginning of the weekend, actually, and I'm just looking forward now. From a games segment section this week, no games, of course, this past week, as you know, but we did have some of our squad out there putting in real shifts and performances at the business end of the World Cup qualification group stages. Northern Ireland had a great draw against the European Championships Italy earlier today, and Scotland had an absolutely brilliant result against Denmark today to move them further up in the second place standings, which now gives them a home semi-final playoff tie against an unseeded opponent sometime late March, I believe it is. And incredibly, they've won 6 games in a row now, Scotland, and beat a Denmark team who hadn't lost a qualifier in the high 20s, like almost 30 games, something like that. I spoke to my dad, Ronnie, earlier today, and he was raving about them. The best I've ever seen a Scotland team play was what he said to me. And he's been watching them a pretty long time, pretty much his whole life, and he's 84 now, so it's a big turnaround for Ronnie, because earlier in the campaign he desired that they not win a single game, and by the end, Mr. Happy, Steve Clark, has him gushing about the team and excited to see what's coming next and all that. I guess that's the joys of sport and the trials and tribulations of being Scottish. To be honest, I didn't even have a clue the games were today. I really didn't, and I thought they'd be on Tuesday or Wednesday. So when I had a chance to pop onto Sky Sports this afternoon and see the results there, I was a wee bit surprised. But good for Scotland, and especially good for all the Rangers players out there who enjoyed a fruitful international break. As I mentioned a couple of times earlier in my rant about Gerrard's exit, we do have a very important game for Rangers Football Club this coming weekend with the Premier Sports Cup semi-final against Hibs to look forward to on Sunday, November the 21st at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's a 4 p.m. UK time kick-off, and the game was already important to us before Gerrard buggered off, and it's taken on a whole new level of importance now from a sporting perspective, as we don't want to give any reason for the remainder of Scottish football to think that without Gerrard we're suddenly a soft touch or in some sort of decline or some sort of dismay. So it's important that we go out and smash Hibs into oblivion and seal our place in next month's final. I won't do the last time we played Hibs segment for this week, because this is a cup competition and is a whole different vibe than the regular league play when I usually do those sections. But that said, Hibs were in pretty much free fall before the international break, having lost 4 league games on the bounce. So I'm sure they will have welcomed the international break and will most likely welcome the distraction of a cup semi-final to try and stop their rot overall. But our job is to continue their misery, and I really hope we manage to do that and keep normal service resuming on the footballing side of things domestically for us. On to RTV. We are still trying to finalise the RTV survey once and for all. I know I sound like a broken record on that. I will be spending some time with Alan McWatt on that one shortly here this week sometime, hopefully either tomorrow or Wednesday, and we will be in touch with the clubs after that. Alan and I did have a couple of attempts to meet last week and a couple of false starts, and it was actually on my side. I just couldn't be available just for other commitments that I had on, but hopefully this week we will be able to carve out the time. It's me who is most definitely the bottleneck on this one, and I promise to get out of Alan's way as quickly as possible to give him the reins to help things move forward. For shout-outs, we have 2 this week. The first one is a little bit lengthy and the second one is a little bit Calgary. So first one, on Friday night, I'm sitting on a couch. I don't even remember what time it was, like after 8 o'clock, something, 9 o'clock maybe, something like that, and I received a phone call, an unannounced phone call from our webmaster, Mr. Chris Lovett, formerly of San Francisco Rangers Supporters Club, who has now moved over to what I hope to be the venue or the area or city for our newest Rangers Supporters Club in the NARSA family in Seattle. And he told me the following story, which he subsequently put in writing for David Edgar to read out as a Heart and Hand daily tale. For subscribers to Heart and Hand, you'll know what that means. And it's not often, as in it never ever happens, that I get an exclusive, and I know technically this isn't an exclusive as he sent this update to David and not me, but I'm going to go with it and pretend that it is an exclusive, and I will read it out. For my birthday weekend, my fiancée Katie treated me to a weekend away up in Vancouver, Canada. We drove the almost 2 hours to the Canadian border, sitting in a line of cars at the border crossing, looking forward to hitting up a few breweries and restaurants. As we got closer to the front, we see people handing over pieces of paper and thought, we had our vaccination cards on us, and thought maybe it was just old fogies with massive photocopies of theirs. We get to the front, show our passports, proof of vaccine, and then the very abrupt border agent, and I'll just tell you, when Chris was telling me the story, he didn't use the words very abrupt. There was different language he used at that particular point. Where were we? And then the very abrupt border agent, I thought Canadians were all supposed to be nice, he says, do you have your proof of a negative test result? We did not. We were promptly pointed back in the direction of the good old US of A. Not wanting to give up on our weekend, hotel costs, etc., we scrambled to find a rapid testing centre, get the tests for the princely sum of $275 per person, and we head back to the border $550 poorer. We get there and there's no lines. We choose a different lane from the last visit in the hopes that we would get someone different, and thankfully we did. Give the guy my passport and he looks at it, looks at me. I pull my mask down to display my coupon and he says, I like your mask. He then says, what do you think of Gerrard then? in a Scottish accent. I confusingly said, I was gutted. He says, me too, but more about the way he did it. So what do you think? So who do you think we will get? It turns out I had my black and gold 55 mask on and he was a blue nose. What are the chances? He went on to tell me that he had the same mask on this morning coming to work and has the same phone lock screen, which is Tav, with the trophy, as I showed him my test results on my phone. We chatted for a bit about the potential of Gio being the next manager and Gerrard possibly raiding our players in January, then went on our way into Canada. All the stress was gone and laughing our heads off about the encounter. To top it off, I took a screenshot of my car's display as we drove away, and Chris actually sent me this, and it's unbelievable. The time was 5:55 and the temperature was 55 degrees, and they're in Fahrenheit in the States. So 5:55, 55 degrees, $550 and a blue nose at the border. My, oh my. So the weekend turned out great, and that encounter was the catalyst to get us in the right frame of mind. It should be no discussion on who is the bigger team or who has the bigger global support. I bet there wasn't an Aston Villa fan on duty that day. We are everywhere. I just absolutely loved the story. When Chris phoned me on Friday, he was buzzing, of course, and just the coincidences and just the experience, something to remember for a lifetime. And then just the other coincidences to add on to that, you know, in terms of all the 55 stuff. We genuinely are global. Thanks a million, Chris, for sending that to me second as a bit of an afterthought. Kind of when I embarrassed you into sending it, but I'm glad that you sent it all the same. And let's see if David actually does read it out or not. He'll probably do a better job than I would anyway. And the second shout out for this week is just a reminder for all Calgary and area bears to come and join us for a British New Year party Friday, December 31st at the Palomino, downtown Calgary. We are going to have an absolute ball. Toast out 21 and toast in all the great things that are coming our way in 2022, which will hopefully be a treble and a wonderful convention in Las Vegas. Speaking of conventions, our update this week is very similar to last week, which was very similar to the week before. I know. It really is wild how the weeks are flying by at times and how easy it is for us to collectively get distracted when things happen in our Rangers world, when one of our best ever managers passes and another one who just decided himself to walk away when we supposedly don't do walking away. Maybe Gerrard didn't get the memo. But I'll go over the highlights again, just in case you haven't listened over the last couple of weeks. We do continue to progress our conversations with the Las Vegas Loyal organising committee for their excursions, and they are ready to go. The website shell is created. I'm going to chat with Chris tomorrow, and we will get that out there via our regular communication channels. And we are just about ready to get ourselves going on the football and the golf. I know that we were just looking at some transportation options for both the football and the golf, and looking at some of the apparel options as well for the football. I'm not 100% sure if we'll be ready to go on them this week, but we're very, very close on all of them. I know I've said that, but it's literally true. We just haven't taken that last step to get it over the line. So more to follow as the week progresses on that, but there will be some activity. On the travel front, we will get that page launched this week for absolute sure. It's a shame that we were ready to go and then all the other things got in our way, but this week, for sure, probably. We did manage to make some progress on the 2023 front, where we had a proposal review meeting between myself, Billy Ferguson and Brian Campbell last Tuesday, and I had a follow-up conversation based on that conversation with the sales executive on the Wednesday, just to try and finalise what that looked like. And what that manifested itself into is today. Just today we received a first draft proposed contract that, admittedly, at the time of opening, I haven't had a chance to look at the email or the proposed contract yet, but I'll get to that either later tonight or tomorrow morning, and we'll see what it looks like as we try to move forward on that one. So some convention progress, just not the convention that most people are interested in right now. We will get there, folks. Trust me, we will. Another plug for our frequently asked questions document. It's on the website. Any questions you have, go take a peek, and hopefully you'll get what you need from there. On to our communication section. There's not a whole lot to report on the communications front from this past week as it relates to either NARSA or the club. One of the more important items for this week is the broadcasting of the memorial service for our very own Walter Smith this coming Friday. It will be available and free for anyone who wishes to watch it on RTV. So available and free on RTV this Friday. We're just awaiting the details of the timing for the broadcast. I obviously won't be able to update you before then, so please keep an eye on the Rangers website or Rangers social media channels or Rangers TV social media channels as well, and get the information that you need, because obviously this is absolutely something that you will not want to miss. I assume also there would be a recording available for later on should you not be able to watch it when it's first broadcast as well. I did want to repeat some of the sentiment provided by the club on Gerrard's departure from an article on the website last week. So this is almost a last. I'm going to talk about him this week. But Rangers chairman Douglas Park commented, "I would firstly like to put on record my thanks to Stephen for his outstanding efforts over the last 3.5 years at Rangers. He has provided us all with some unforgettable moments, not least his delivery of the Scottish Premier title back to Ibrox last season, having not lost a match in the entire league campaign. In European competition, he has restored the good name and credibility of our club on the continent and leaves us in a very healthy position on the pitch." Sporting director Ross Wilson added, "Stephen and his backroom staff have ensured that the club is undoubtedly in a better place today than it was 3.5 years ago. We have shared a desire to move Rangers forward, to modernise our infrastructure and to make the club win again. There have been so many areas that we have moved forward and there is still so much to be done, but I can't stress enough how important it has been to have with us a first team manager who shared the drive and desire to set standards and move the whole football operation forward. I know how much it meant to Stephen that our 55th League Championship was achieved last season, and alongside an excellent European record across his tenure, we have had some truly memorable days and nights. We wish Stephen nothing but success for his next chapter." And at the end of the article, it goes on to say, "Rangers Football Club would like to put on record their thanks to Stephen and his staff and wish them every success in the future. They will always be welcome at Ibrox." There you have it. Classy, courteous and respectful, which are standards that Rangers Football Club lives by every single day. Pity our ex-manager decided none of those values really applied to him at the end of his tenure. That's me done. I promise that's me done. The club also announced last week a kinda new partnership with Douglas Laing and Company. And the reason I say kinda is I do know that there was a previous relationship where Douglas Laing were official licensees for whiskey, rum and gin. So I'm assuming moving from a licensee to a partner is a step up or a step in the right direction for both parties. Not 100% sure, but it just kind of makes sense. And the site said, "Rangers are today delighted to announce a new partnership with leading Scottish whisky distiller, blender and bottler Douglas Laing and Co. Founded in 1948, but still a family-owned company to this day, Douglas Laing, or Laing, forgive me if I'm getting it wrong, will produce the following 6 special Rangers spirits this season to cater to all tastes. A blended malt Scotch whisky winter edition, 150th anniversary edition blended malt Scotch whisky, premium aged rum, small batch vodka and premium Scottish gin. All of those are 150th anniversary editions. And then coming soon is going to be a season 21-22 small batch single malt." And Rangers Commercial and Marketing Director James Bisgrove commented, "Rangers are thrilled to be collaborating with a local business of the repute of Douglas Laing on these 6 outstanding spirits. The global sales of our 150th anniversary merchandise and official licensed products has been incredible, and I am sure these unique spirits will take pride of place on many supporters' mantelpieces as well as perfect gifts, particularly with Christmas approaching." Mantelpieces or right in the bellies, either one I guess is good for the club. And I did mention last week the non-fungible tokens launch when I chatted about that on last week's pod, and to help further people's understanding of what NFTs are, the club published another article subsequent to the original one they had, which is called or titled a guide to the Champions NFT collection. So what this article intends to do is, or attempts to do, is to explain what NFTs are, what you get, why Rangers are now in this market space and what to do next. I won't say much more than that, as I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, if I'm being honest. But I will put the link in the blurb tonight and take a peek if you want to be a wee bit more educated than you were before. It is genuinely an easy read, and there are some decent analogies in there to help explain it further. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, go take a peek. And as I say, I'll put the article blurb. I'll put the article link in the blurb. Finally, I wanted to provide a quick update on our Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast annual subscription competition, which has been going on for months now, it feels like. I'd mentioned for the last wee while that we were stuck on the question, but I am genuinely really excited and delighted and all those good things to say that we have agreed on the question. We've done as much due diligence as we can on our research for the answer, and we are very, very confident, and we're ready to launch that this week too. So I did mention before that we were going to get that organised in the international break, and technically we did get it over the line, or we will get it over the line, it's not out yet, during the international break, like I said we would, because the international break to me lasts until Sunday at kick-off time. We're not in the international break until we play another game, so we're still in that zone. So I know it's a bit of a cop-out, but I'm going to take that one, so stay tuned for that this week. There's going to be lots of communication coming your way this week, and we will re-emphasise some of the more important things to make sure you don't miss anything there. Okay, that will do it for this week, my friends. As always, thank you very, very much for taking the time to listen. Please do share it with whomever you think might enjoy it, and until next week, do take care, all the best, and here's to more communications, convention releases, a new manager, and a League Cup final to look forward to coming our way this week. Take care, folks. Cheerio.